In this video, I want to show you guys the brand new tracking capabilities on this. This is the brand new DJI Neo 2, and I've had this drone for a couple of months testing it out for DJI. Now this video is completely unsponsored. I did make sponsored content for the release of this drone, which you can find on my short form channel, so on Instagram and on TikTok, but this video is completely unsponsored, and I'm making it because I want to show you guys the ridiculous tracking capabilities as well as the brand new gesture control on the DJI Neo 2, because I don't know what kind of cracked out algorithm DJI has put on this drone, but this might be the best tracking I've ever seen on any kind of drone. Now this drone does have omnidirectional sensor, something that the original DJI Neo didn't have. So there's an omnidirectional sensor here on the bottom, there's an omnidirectional sensor here on the top, and then there's also this LiDAR sensor right here on the front. So it does have plenty of sensors to be able to pull this off. I'm just really impressed at what this drone can do. I've got a few examples lined up for you guys, and we're gonna start off with the gesture control, which literally lets you move this drone using the palm of your hand. It's crazy, you guys are about to see, and then I'll show you the tracking examples right after that. So there will be timestamps at the bottom in the description of this video or at the scroll bar at the bottom if you want to go ahead and skip ahead to either one. So if you're just interested in gesture control, you can focus on that. If you want to check out the tracking, you can go ahead and skip to that. But without any further ado, let's jump into the examples. Okay, so the first example with gesture control, it literally shows you how you can control the drone. So if you take two of your palms and you spread them out like I'm doing right here in this video, the drone will start to fly backwards. And then if you bring those same two palms back together, the drone will start flying towards you. So I do this a couple of times. I was testing it out here, and then you can also stop it by just using one palm. Now, if you have one palm placed out, you can move the drone upwards, downwards, to the left, to the right, as you can see I'm doing right here. And it's really responsive. You'll notice that it's moving right away with the motion of my arm. And here I get close to a tree, and I did try to crash the drone a couple of times. It doesn't let you, but here you can see again, I'm using both of my palms to push the drone out and then pushing those palms back in together to bring the drone towards me. Now it does use the obstacle sensor, so it won't let you crash into something behind you, which is nice to see. And I also feel like there's a limited distance because I did try to go a little bit further a few times and it wouldn't let me do that. But here you can see whenever I try to bring the drone forwards, there's a limited distance and it's not going to crash out into me. And then eventually when I put out my palm to call the drone back, that's usually when the recording automatically stops, and it should happen right there. Okay, now continuing with our gesture control example. So again, I decided to get up from the log that I was sitting on, stand up, and do a little bit more challenging gestures in the environment. So first I push the drone out, then I use the one palm to control it. And here you'll notice there's also a height limit. So the reason I'm just bringing it down right away is that for whatever reason, it doesn't let me push it higher than that. I assume it's because it's too far to read the palm. But here you'll notice how confidently it's going by the trees. Like I'm able to literally move it forwards and backwards in this like dense forest, and it knows where all the trees are. And anytime I make any kind of like sharp movement like this, so right there you saw that it went right by all of those trees really easily, and then I can push it upwards and downwards again. And this again shows you how good gesture control is even in complicated environments. Okay, so one more gesture control example. If you're tired of this, again, you can go ahead and skip to the tracking section. Here I saw a couple of people walking by. They were checking out what I was doing in the forest. I would be weirded out too if I saw a guy just trying to use the force to control the drone in the forest. But again, I want to check this out in a little bit more of a complicated environment. You're gonna notice that there's some low, like super thin, like shrubs or trees or like branches and stuff, and the drone is actually still avoiding those. Like it's making sure that it doesn't hit. Here, I think it lost view of my palm, so it kind of was not as responsive as usual. So I took a step to the side, started controlling it with my palm again. Here, I'm gonna push it out, and then I believe I start moving rather quickly around these trees. I just wanna see how confident the drone is in its sensors, and you'll notice that just going around this tree and even the super small branches. So you see it came down slowly there, and that's because it knows that those branches are down there. So it is taking caution. Like just because I'm flying my palm downward doesn't mean that it's just gonna like rocket itself towards the ground. It's actually really smart, and it's able to follow my gestures while taking into account the environment and dodging everything. And I just love how confidently it just swings by these trees, because it has to lose sight of my gesture or my palm for a second when it does this, but it still maintains the flight path perfectly and dodges the trees. Okay, cool. Let's jump into tracking. So my first tracking example was pretty simple. I just ran down the path on this forest, and here I'll make a sudden turn. I wanted to just test how well the drone could do. So there's my sudden turn, and now I'm headed into a pretty difficult environment. It dodges the trees, and then I just stick my palm out because I was kind of unsure. That was my first test. Now this next track I ran 3 times. So this is my first attempt, and this I was really impressed by on my very first try. Look at all the tiny little trees and branches and everything that it's dodging while I'm running, and it's really doing a good job. Now here I ran into a dead end, so I just called the drone back and I decided I was gonna try the same track again. So tried to run a little bit faster. Here, that was just crazy. You see how it went to the side and dodged all those trees, and it swung right by that little shrub. And here I decided to call it back because I honestly didn't even know if it was following me. It's so quiet. And this was the final run that I did. Here I did a bit of a longer loop or a longer run because I was pretty confident in the drone by now. I knew that it was going to dodge whatever was in its way, but look at just again how tight it's flying through these super thin branches that are really difficult to see, especially when you're running or moving at a fast speed. And it's doing an excellent job even in this super textured environment. And again, like I said at the beginning of this video, I don't know what they're doing, but the tracking in this drone is some of the best I've ever seen. So yeah, that's the brand new tracking and gesture controls on the brand new DJI Neo 2. I think it's pretty darn impressive, and I think you guys would agree too if you've made it to this point of the video. Anyways, this was a super simple video. I just wanted to keep it short, show you guys the new capabilities of the DJI Neo 2 in case you're thinking of picking it up. There's a bunch of upgrades. The camera's pretty much the same, but these are the 2 main upgrades. You also have that return to palm feature. It does stop recording, which is why you didn't see it in the videos, but basically you can stick your palm out and call the drone back as long as it can see you, and it'll fly back to you, and it's really cool. Anyways, I've really enjoyed using the DJI Neo 2. Hopefully you got what you were looking out from this video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. And until then, keep creating.